Come to order. Bring this meeting to order for May 22nd. Call to order.
Briggs,
Yes.
Shivers, Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
All right, we have a rather long agenda tonight, so let me explain a little bit for those of you sitting there what we're going to be doing, since some of you are very interested in this. First of all, we have a work session. It actually says presentation, but it's sort of like a work session, although it seems like we had that already. But we're going to discuss chickens. And now, this is just a work session, so what that means that is we will discuss among ourselves about the chickens, and then that will, we'll eventually get around to a public hearing and ordinances about that. And then we go to public hearing, we go to regular session, and then we go to public hearing, and our next public hearing is rezoning property at 2100 Lakeview. So I don't know who's who, I don't know what you're here for, but I hope that sort of explains our agenda tonight. So, let's see, we are in work session, and I can't remember, you'll have to forgive me. We just go to work session, right?
Yeah, presentation.
Presentation will read that.
Okay, we have a presentation for the chickens, and that will be Rita Jackson, unless, you wanted to say something
We'll
first.
go ahead with Rita Jackson as counsel. As you remember, this has been presented to you in regards to requests for some changes to the ordinance and what would be allowed and what wouldn't be. You referred it to Planning and Zoning to take a look at. The Planning and Zoning Commission has met, they've discussed it, and came back with some general recommendation and ideas, and Rita will present those. And then where we'll need to go with this is that you'll have to give us additional feedback on how you wish to proceed from here before we go into drafting any kind of ordinances or anything like that. So, Rita Jackson to present the Planning and Zoning Commission's research on this.
Good evening, Council. As Mr. Slagle has stated, back in February 27, 2023, we had interested individuals coming to the City Council meeting, and at that particular time, Council recommended that we actually review our current ordinance and see as it pertains to chickens. And basically what I'm going to actually kind of outline here, we're going to look at the current ordinance, then we're going to go through how the staff reviewed to come up with a recommendation. We will talk about pros and cons, and then the results of the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation. Our current city ordinance basically states that we can have 10 chickens per acre. The enclosures basically include a barn, a stable, a shed, or whatever, and it's an enclosure which is basically 200 feet off of the property line. And you need to actually maybe clean it twice weekly. So in the review of the ordinances, what city staff did, we started first with populations that were probably 127,000 to 12,000, and basically we looked at Columbia, Jefferson City, Cape Girardeau, Kirksville, Moberly, and Fulton. Then we also went back and we looked at populations 8,000 to 17,000, which those were cities like Clayton, Branson, Ladue, Union, Warrenton, and Cameron. Basically, all the reviews that cities that we looked at, chickens were allowed. And their chickens, they range from anywhere from having 4 chickens up to 12. And it was based on lot sizes, which were all over the place. Some of them were 1 acre or 2 acres or more, 20,000 square feet or 10,000 square feet. They all required some form of coop, and the definitions, some put together materials or how they could be built. And one of the things, most of the cities have a permitting process. In order to have the chickens, what the permitting process that would go before you actually having those chickens. And we also had our city staff, the animal control officers, and other things that we have seen in other cities. We looked at the pros and cons. Basically, the one pro was that you would have fresh farm chickens. And the cons went from the cost of your enclosures or your coops, and then the daily maintenance of actually cleaning the coops, noise complaints, and the upkeep of the coops. And after looking at all of that, the recommendations that city staff came up with, we actually looked at and we thought that these are the recommendations that we presented to the Planning and Zoning, and then Planning and Zoning Commission gave us feedbacks as to what they thought. The recommendation was 5 or 6 chickens. What we looked at the time, we had our city building official, he presented a study of 40 lots that were randomly selected in 4 different areas of the city of Mexico. And of those 40 lots selected, 80% of those lots are at least 60 feet wide, which is the normal minimum lot width in a R1 zoning. Most of the lots in Mexico are at least 60 feet wide, although some of in your newer subdivision, they're much larger. And so basically, after looking at that, we thought that our current setback requirement is 200 feet off the property line. We recommended 25 feet off of the property line, or maybe less, but 25 feet off the property line would actually give you the dimensions that you would need on the side lots and keep them off of the property lines. And one of the things that we saw currently that we have recommended is that currently we have chickens, but we have no way of knowing where those chickens are located. How we find out about those chickens, they either run in at large, or maybe a neighbor would call in to let us know. And one of the things that we saw in Moberly's ordinance, they kind of referred to, they gave us requirements as to the type of coops and the materials that you could use, and it also indicated ways that you could keep, the water flow and, no plastic or, and wood that was treated or different things like that. You can have coops, but one of the things that we found out is just actually looking at those on the internet and different things, some of them start up to $400 or $500 or more. So we would like to actually recommend, the permitting of that, and that permitting would actually go through the actual animal shelter, and that permit would basically be that you would actually come first to the animal shelter. It would be a bare minimum, a basic permitting process where you give your address, the number of chickens, the type of coop that you would have there. The shelter attendants would actually go out and inspect the coop before the chickens are actually permitted on that property. We felt that it would be great to have a minimum fee of maybe just $5 or $10 for that permitting process to basically just know where the chickens are and that we could actually be able to locate them. And the chickens would not be there until we've actually inspected that property and the coop that you would have there. And after presenting that to the Planning and Zoning Commission, at the end of the meeting, their recommendations came to us. They wanted to decrease the setback requirement from the 200 feet to the 25 feet or less. Limit the number of chickens to 5 or 6, and this amount would not change if you were on a larger lot. Have requirements regarding the type of chicken coops allowed and what materials are to be utilized, and that the coops needs to be inspected and approved before a permit is issued. establish a timeline for removal of the coops once the citizen decides that they no longer would like to have the chickens. Create a formal permitting process with a minimal fee. Permitting will be done at the animal shelter, and require anyone wanting to own chickens to attend some sort of workshop or educational program before the permitting. Concerns from the Planning and Zoning Commission was issues having chickens on small lots in town. Would be extremely difficult to have a coop on a standard 60 by 120 lot. Continued care and maintenance of the chickens as people get tired of them. And the need for education and feel that citizens may not be aware of the work involved and cost of owning the chickens. Do you have any additional questions?
So would we add,
One at a time, please. Steve,
Go ahead.
oh,
go ahead. Who's one? I heard two questions.
go ahead.
No, I think it's Councilman Williams go.
So would we have to change the code and also put in penalties for if people don't follow the rules as well? Or how would we handle that? Because my concern really is one is the smell. Because if you're getting all these houses with 60 by 120 and you get 5 or 6 of them going in there, and I understand they got a coop, but anybody that's lived in the country knows that a coop can smell pretty bad if you're not taking care of it. And it doesn't sound like we're going to go back anymore after the initial, right? They get inspected, we go, we say it's fine, they put chickens in, and then it's just willy-nilly whatever you want to do after that. Is that how it's going to be, or?
Actually, the permitting process will be very helpful because once we know where the chickens are, we can implement and actually go back. And one of the things that you're going to see with chickens is your neighbor. When they open the window, if they have the smell, they have the right to call in, and actually the code enforcement officer will go there and look at it, and code enforcement animal control officer, and also sometimes the chickens get out. But staff did talk about the fact that with having the permitting, that would also give us the right to, if they did not follow the requirements, that would actually cease their abilities to be able to have those coops there.
So follow the rules or get your permit revoked.
Have your, right, follow the rules.
I like that. Sounds good.
We're only talking about one pin per lot, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you're going to provide an ordinance that has certain dimensions for those pins?
Yes.
Because currently, if we take the acre thing, it says they can have the chickens. The ordinance says you can do it in barns or sheds. Am I reading that right? Am I hearing that right?
That's the current ordinance.
That's the current ordinance. So essentially, we're tightening that up to a specific size pen enclosure, which has to be approved. Is that the way I understand that?
Yes.
Right, and then they have to get a permit for it. Does the pen get checked before they put chickens in it then?
Yes, the permitting process allows you to first come and, like a business license, come and get a permit to have it. We actually take that permit and we review it, and it's basically the address, and one of the things that we also looked at is it owner-occupied property. Does your landlord want you to have this on the property? So we would put together permitting to be able, and then you're going to tell us how many chickens you would like based on the number you have, and then we would come to that address and actually inspect the coop or pen that you're going to use, and then at that time, you would be issued a permit to be able to have your chickens. We don't want you to get your chickens and then come to the city.
Okay,
and have us-
and so what do you do with those pins when people say, okay, this is too expensive, this is a lot of trouble, 24/7 care? What do you do with people then who stop raising the chickens? Is there going to be some sort of recommendation about what they have to do with their pins? Or have you thought about
We
it?
had not thought about that, but code enforcement would probably pick it up if it's sitting there in the yard and not being utilized. At that point, it becomes maybe junk, scratch, or debris.
If we're talking about code enforcement, will it be enforced only if there's a complaint from a neighbor or from a citizen, or will, it says, what I think I heard you say, and I think I read too, is that be required to clean the coops twice a week? Who's going to make sure that's done? Who's going to make sure that these things are done?
Actually, once we put the permit out there, if it says, and the reason that we can follow it now, it would be the animal control officers actually going to those addresses and looking and see how things are.
So they would do periodic inspections, not just wait for a complaint?
Not wait, well, we can put it in, usually when you have chickens, we're going to have to inspect them often, but we can put in the permitting that we will inspect these every 2 weeks, weekly, or however, that would be.
So it's going to take maybe more people on the city staff to do this stuff, depending on how many permits there are?
Yes, it will include additional staffing for the animal and sheltered individuals. Because they actually need to be looked at night and in the evening also. And currently we have, one of our animal control officers that is actually on call each night from 5 to 10. Doing animal control at that point.
In a 60-foot wide lot, we're talking about 25 feet. So that leaves a 10-foot space in the middle. So that's not enough.
That's chicken coop's about 6 feet wide.
Six,
That's what they all are.
Yeah.
5 chickens.
Yeah, it's portable coop's about 6 wide and 8 long, unless you hand build one. But if you're talking about a coop like you're looking at, the book is not very wide.
So there would be room in that 10 feet.
Yeah, there would
be darn tight.
So Columbia and Cape have probably looks like the pretty lenient rules. So I understand reading ordinances. Have we contacted them, and, does Cape have a huge problem with chickens? There's, they're, 10 feet from any property line and 6 chickens like that. Do they have a problem? Have we contacted them? Because ordinances are one thing, and we can assume what's going to happen. Like, we don't want it to smell, or makes it sound like 2,000 people in Mexico are going to get chickens once we pass this, and I don't know if that's going to be true. And so, I think the proof's in, how bad of a problem is it in Columbia and Cape Girardeau? I don't think Mexico's going to be an offset of that to where all of a sudden it becomes a huge problem with it. And I don't disagree with any of this stuff on here. I think there should be a minimum size requirement for a coop. I don't know if you can tell somebody what they're going to make it out of. I think that's, there's some pretty, there's probably a lot smarter people out there than me that probably make it cheaper and better with different material. I get the backyard, I live on a corner lot and have no backyard. And so, mine would either be on the side yard, and so I couldn't do it because my backyard is 4 feet from the other property line. So, when I walk out my back door, so it's not like, I can have it. So, I like that. I don't know about having an educational thing. I understand it. I would hope some people would, if you're going to have the permitting and we're going to oversee it some, then I think they would probably get educated about it. I think it also ought to be, I think there also should be something in that ordinance about the owner of the property is the only one that can put chickens there. So if it is a rental place, the renters cannot put chickens on there.
Okay.
It has to be the owner of the property.
Rita, one thing that is not in this recommendation, and if you look at all these other cities, for the most part, they only allow the chicken pens in the backyards.
And that's what he was.
I know, that's what he's saying, Ed.
Bring that up, and I was going to say, most cities only allow chickens in the backyard. And one of the things right now, although it doesn't say in our ordinance, Currently, that's the only place that you can have, and we probably need to, if we were to move forward, put in there that they can only be housed.
If all of you are in agreement with this, I think we'd recommend that that be in, unless someone objects, but I think we would recommend that that be in the ordinance. I was hoping that perhaps you would, we'd be a little further along with the ordinances than we are. Do you think that maybe 2 weeks is enough to get the ordinances together, a couple weeks? How long do you think it would take to get this written up?
I have some questions for you before you start writing.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance yet. Okay, we're going to do this so we know where the chickens are. Do we do that for a dog? Do we do that for a cat? Can anybody get a dog without a permit? Of course. Can anybody have a dog house that's not approved? Of course. Can you have a dog pen that's not approved? Of course. Now all of a sudden we're saying these chicken people have got to be ruled by the city. Next thing is you're going to have a class on how to raise chickens. Who's going to teach that class? And if you're going to have a chicken class for chicken sense, who's going to do the horse? We have horses in town.
Do we have horses in town?
Yes, we do. And we can have a llama in town. We can have goats in town. Are we going to have classes for goats and horses and all that stuff? Or is it just chickens? I'm a little bit lost on that.
One of your statements that came up in our discussion, and it was, do we have the same thing for a dog? So we have talked about, that scenario also.
It just seems like maybe we're beginning to over-govern the people. I mean, if somebody's dog's not right, we go out and take care of the dog, but we're going to make people tell us where the chickens are and how they're going to do them and when they're going to feed them, and we're going to go inspect these chickens. Seems like we're kind of going overboard, in my opinion. What if you have chickens now? What do you have to do? Do you have to go take a chicken class?
Basically, if you have chickens right now, I really don't see how anyone in the city limits can have chickens in homes under 200 feet setback.
They do. There is.
And if they do have them, we're not aware of them, like we said. And how we're finding out is they're running at large, or the neighbor calls in, or somebody in the neighborhood that sees them.
There's some with 200-foot spacings, not a problem.
Probably one or two.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying,
Yes.
are they grandfathered in, or do they have to take a chicken class? We have to decide that. And the other thing is, the permit part, I think, is okay to say that we want to know where they are, but I think it's offensive to me that we're going to teach them how to take care of chickens, because some of these people probably know how to take care of chickens more than we ever had any idea how to take care of a chicken.
Or they may know nothing about taking care of chicken.
I know,
They
but-
think it's a good idea.
But you get a dog, and you may not know how to take care of a
That's
dog,
exactly.
and you get a cat, and you may not know how to take care of a
It
cat.
runs loose and you get fined for
One
it.
of the things that came up in the discussion also was that when we compared it to not permitting a dog, is that with a chicken, we have to go and get them. We have to make accommodations now to be able to house chickens in the animal shelter. So right now, when we have chickens, and we don't know where they actually go, we do have a list of individuals that live out in the county.
You mean-
that take our chickens.
When we find a stray chicken, are they going to have a collar on like a dog so we can? I'm just asking.
They're gonna chip 'em.
They're going to chip them? Okay.
Well, anyway, anybody else have any?
Seems to me
Yeah,
they
I
need to.
Okay.
have one more question. There are neighborhoods now that have covenants and restrictions on what can be on the property. Like some neighborhoods, you can't have a fence. You can't have any outbuildings, no sheds for lawnmowers or anything like that. Are those covenants and restrictions suddenly going to be invalid? Will the city ordinances prohibit covenants and restrictions from saying no fences, which one's going to take precedent?
Covenants should take preference. Covenants should
Covenant will
take
take
preference over the ordinance.
Well, that's, I think, something that they need to discuss, though. I wouldn't disagree. I don't know how that works. I really don't.
And some of the things that we're running into when some subdivisions are the ones that does have covenants and ordinances, actually people permitting these permits, we're not aware of some of the covenants, or so that individual needs to bring those into whoever's issuing that permit so that they know that you're not to have chickens or you're not to have a fence or you're not, if we are not aware of the situation and not all people disclose that information when they come to the permitting process.
I have a really stupid question. I mean, okay, you got chickens. You decide you don't want the chickens anymore. Are you allowed to kill them and eat them?
Sure.
Is it a public health thing?
No, no, you can do it.
You can,
Do with
I
goats.
understand that, because what we're actually doing now, we give them so many, time frame to get rid of the chickens. We don't ask how you do it.
Or what you do with
They've
it?
actually told us that they'll just eat them, so.
Okay, just wondering.
So, okay, so we're gonna give her what we want to take back to zoning.
You are going to give her what kind of parameters you think ought to be in the ordinance to bring back.
So we need to tighten up what we want to see
Yep,
approved by zoning.
yep.
Well, if you start at the first one, it says 25 or less. Somebody needs to tell us what less is. I mean, we can't have
We
it
need you to tell us what that is. What do you want it to be?
20 feet.
20 feet.
I like
Now,
it.
if everybody else can change their mind and limit the chickens to 5 to 6, we allow them 10 now. Why are we cutting it
Well,
down
that
to 5 or
has to do with the
6?
size of the lot. They can still have 10 if they have,
Oh, they doesn't.
they have a big lot.
It says right there, larger lots, you can't have any more.
Does it say that?
Yes, ma'am.
I missed that
I'd
one.
say 10. First of all, when you get baby chicks, and you get 10 baby chicks, only 6 or 7 of them are going to live, the rest of them are going to die. So you're not going to end up with 10.
Well, you need to teach a class.
Well, I've raised chickens. We have Marcy teach it. She's a farm girl.
I like I agree with Councilman Miller. I like the first two, and then I like the permitting process. I don't know, I guess there needs to be some sort of enclosure, but I think you're right. I mean, if we have a permit and then someone calls, then I guess we can go out and check it out, but we're gonna be running around checking whatever. I mean, even if there's only 20, we're going out every 2 weeks and checking 20 coops. We're not gonna wanna do
Twice a
that.
week to go clean.
Well, we should put
The
in,
dog kennel.
we should put in the recommendations that are essential
It says it.
and basic.
But
and not add a lot-
we
maybe
don't
add
wanna,
not as much detail as maybe we think.
we're just not, they're right, we don't want to overburden city employees that already have other stuff they need to do during that time. I agree with that, but those are the three I would really push for, and
How about backyards only?
Backyards,
I'm fine with that, yeah.
Backyards only.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the owner only, no rentals.
My dream's gone, because I don't have a backyard and have
I don't really care about the class. I'll just be honest. We have so many ordinances on the book. Let's just be real. We don't enforce 3/4 of these things. They're on the books, but it is what it is. I carry a stun gun at night walking my dog now because we have so many dogs out after dark that come running up on us. And so nobody's out there. I had a cop literally stop. We were pinned up. The cop stopped and waved at us. And I was like, okay. So, nobody's enforcing it anyway. So, because we have leash laws on the books. It's supposed to be on leashes. So, I don't care about the class very much. Like Miller said, what's the big deal? The coop, either way. I don't really find a lot with that because, like he said, we don't have a lot of employee free time to check all this out. So, if we're going to talk about hiring another person, then you really got to up that permit to cover that. Because, we're going to hire somebody so some people can have 6 fresh eggs a day.
I don't think you'll ever have a chicken attacking your dog,
No.
but you never know about chickens.
But I'm saying that we have ordinances that aren't enforced already. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
Pump them full of
Never know about
steroids and get more chicken.
Right.
All right, anybody else want to add anything to recommendations or take away anything? Well, you've taken away some things, and we need a timeline for it.
When's zoning meet again?
The first Tuesday after think it's June 7th.
First Tuesday in June.
Tuesday of the month.
Okay, and then at that time, we will have our ordinances and we'll have a hearing.
Would it come from zoning? Zoning's already done it, we've already done it. It just needs to be
You send
written.
it to them and they've given you some parameters. I mean, if you wish it to go back to them first, that's your
wouldn't know why.
choice. If you don't, that's your choice.
Let's just,
Yeah, come back to us.
looks like,
It's like, to me, it's Rita's ready to write a rule for us, and we'll take our red pen like in school.
we don't like that ordinance.
So before we put an order, and I agree, to draft the ordinance, and start putting these parameters in for you, I don't think we set it up for approval right away. I think we bring the ordinance back for you to review as a work session first, to redline it and make any changes before we start moving it to approval. So,
Okay. But we need,
Absolutely.
but that's the only way we can move forward, is if we know what we actually have to look at.
I do,
Review.
I will amend when I said I didn't care about the coops, but I do think we need something about coops, because I could see, the vision popped in my head. of
Need something about what?
The coops, I just had a vision pop in my head of somebody using, the crates, pallets. I'm like, no, I think there has to be something. I don't know, it has to be so, tight, but it has to be something.
Well, any smart person's gonna build something decent or they're gonna die.
Right.
And someone's gonna get the chickens.
some don't care.
Gotta be something, I
I've
mean,
seen old camper
we're gonna be
trailers,
buying
I've
chickens
seen
right
old
in the...
pools tipped over and
Right,
things like that,
right.
so.
Yeah.
Not saying it's gotta be tight, but I mean,
Some cities have very specific directions about how those are to be built. Like painted white on the inside, built very specific way. Might not be such a bad idea for us to consider that either. So just size, materials that can't be used or should be used or whatever.
Addressing what Councilman Hague said a while ago about, he can't do it because he doesn't have a back, you got it on a corner lot with not really a backyard or include. There are a lot of those around, my backyard is wide open public view. There are a lot of those around. So if it's not, how do you, the idea of having them in a backyard is to keep it from public view a lot. That's the point, right?
Yes.
If you've got backyards that they're open as a front yard in some houses and some developments, still put in the backyard, can they have them, can they not have them?
I don't think we can, I think you're just gonna say backyard, whatever you think the backyard is, but...
I don't think this is gonna be a monster issue. I don't
Yeah.
think we're gonna have hundreds of chicken coops in town. But
I don't disagree.
it may be, those chickens may be a pet to somebody, just like somebody's dog. My kids all had chickens, raised ducks, and those were pets. They weren't,
Did they eat them?
we ate the eggs, and when chickens got too big, we had chicken.
That's my question.
This is the real world. You raise a calf and then you eat it.
I grew up on a farm. We had a huge chicken house. So we had lots of chickens.
oh, yeah.
Okay.
Just send them over to me, yeah, okay.
That's what I
A
said.
little short on nuggets today, calling Joe down the street.
Okay, thank you all, Rita. All right, we are, do we need to adjourn from the work session then? We're just going on with it? Okay, thank
I
you.
move to approve the minutes of May 8th.
Second.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Hague,
Yes.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is a public hearing. The last one was a work session. And that is to rezone property located at 2100 Lakeview, Southside Christian Church, from single-family to multiple-family. And Mr.,
No.
Move
I
we
moved
open
over
public
to public hearing.
oh, sorry, forgot that.
Second. Him and I'll get it.
Whichever way you want to.
I'm still,
Briggs,
yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Hague.
Yes.
Now we can have our hearing.
Okay, now, this public hearing concerns Southside Christian Church, and they wish to rezone the property, and they wish to consider an academy, educational, private school academy, Christian academy. And to cover the details, Rita Jackson. Do you have something for the screen?
Yes. Okay, this public hearing
We have it.
concerns a request.
You have the map of your books.
We have it. Picture of it.
From Southside Christian Church to rezone their property located at 2100 Lakeview Road from R1 Single Family District, R3A Multifamily District, and R3B Office and Professional District to R3A Multiple Family District. You have a parcel of property that is actually in 3 zoning districts. Southside Christian Church plans to add an additional use to the property and building with the addition of a private school known as Southside Christian Academy. Their plans outline enrollment for 2023-2024 school year with classes set to begin on August 30, on or about August 30, 2023. The city's comprehensive plan shows this area as public, semi-public. Public, semi-public classification generally represents areas for schools, trade schools, colleges, hospitals, healthcare, daycare centers, senior citizens, libraries, etc. Actually, school can go in R1 zoning, but this is actually going to be a private zone, school, so it would need to go to the R3A. Notices were sent to 19 surrounding property owners within the 300 feet of the requested rezoning. Staff received 1 verbal communication, and that individual were just requiring additional information. At the May 2nd, 2023 Planning and Zoning meeting, Commission made recommendation to grant approval of the rezoning. Staff recommends City Council proceed with advertised public hearing, which was published in the Mexico Ledger on Saturday, May 6th and Saturday, May 13th.
Has anybody complained at all?
We have not had any.
I wouldn't imagine, but I mean, I don't know why. You got the school buses right across the street, so I don't imagine, be like the chickens, I don't think there's gonna be that many. I don't think we're gonna have,
And one of the things that Planning and Zoning did recommend to the members of the church is that just that because there's going to be a school and traffic from the industrial park, just to make sure they put their wording out there and let, just for traffic so that no one will get speeding and damaging the school zone.
Okay, now this is one where we can invite.
Public hearing,
Yeah.
public has right to
Once
comment.
we're finished up here, then it goes to them.
Do it.
Once everybody up here is said what they
Okay, anybody else have comments? I do not, so,
I have no problem with it.
okay,
So you have representatives in the audience.
okay, fine.
Take your name and address.
Well, on behalf of the Southside Christian Academy Board, we
Melanie, give your name and address.
Melanie Utterback, 25181 Highway J in Mexico. As a board member of Southside Christian Academy, we're just hoping to offer another option for education to the Mexico area and be able to give families the option. We have 1 private school currently, St. Brendan's, which is doing a fantastic job. We've got the public school system, but some families are looking for, some other options as well. So just giving that option to them.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, now we close the public hearing.
We close.
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
All right, we now move to ordinance, Bill number 2023-29, an ordinance to rezoning property located at 2100 Lakeview Road and amending the district map referred to in section 42-205 of the Code of the City of Mexico. We need 2 readings and then passage. Do I have a,
No, we have nothing else, Your Honor, so public hearing you've heard, so we recommend you proceed with 2 readings, and the ordinance has been posted as required length of time.
I make a motion to read bill number 2023-29.
Second.
Page,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Bill number 2023-29, ordinance rezoning property located at 2100 Lakeview Road and amending the district map referred to in section 42-205 of the Code of the City of Mexico, Missouri, zoning to R3A Multiple Family District. I move for second reading of bill number 2023-29.
Second.
Page,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Bill number 2023-29, ordinance rezoning property located at 2100 Lakeview Road and amending the district map referred to in section 42-205 of the Code of the City of Mexico, Missouri zoning to R3A Multiple Family District. I move for passage of bill number 2023-29.
Second.
Page,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you all for coming, and we appreciate it. It's always nice to have people come to the council meetings and express opinions, and so you're welcome to stay, but otherwise you have, we've already closed the public hearings. Do you have something else you were going to address us about?
So that I can make a public comment after.
That'll be later.
That's later.
Yeah, that's for later. Oh, sorry. We're just on this,
I'm sorry.
don't worry, you get as confused as I do. We'll deal with that at the public, and you'll have another chance. Okay. All right, we now ready for bill number 2023-30. An ordinance amending Chapter 38, Title 10, Schedules 13 and 21 of the Traffic and Vehicle Schedules of the Mexico City Code. We will need 2 readings for that. Mr. Pacheco, do you have a comment?
Yes, Your Honor, this is a request brought to us by the Missouri Military Academy to evaluate a no parking area on the east side of Grand Street in front of the academy. To cover the details of the request and the review, Drew Wilford.
Well, good evening, council.
May I ask, Bill, just a minute, should I abstain from this since I'm employed by the academy? Abstain?
You may, you should.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
MMA, Missouri Military Academy College, approached staff about the creation of a no parking zone on the east side of Grand Street. This would be between Promenade and Pollock. They own the entirety of the east side in that area. One thing that has somewhat changed in the last year is our monitoring of their special events that occur. They're averaging about 1 per month. With that in mind, we do see the premise of moving forward with establishing no parking because one of their concerns is the frequency with which their car gets rented up during these special events. And in order to accommodate that, we did conduct a study and evaluated geometry and different items of that nature. This has actually been about a process that has occurred over about a year or so. And we don't see any concerns. We did send out letters to the neighborhood in that area, the houses along Grand Street, and we did receive one response. It was actually not a negative, it was just simply inquiring about more information. Then talking to MMA, we also realized that they were interested in having loading still occur on Grand Street. So our solution here that we're recommending is a 2-part one, and that's to amend Schedule 21, which is loading zone areas, by adding a loading zone on the east side of Grand Street from Promenade to a point about 100 foot north of that position. That'll accomplish their task of loading and unloading students and goods, semi-truck deliveries and such. And then for the remaining distance from that point north to Pollock, again, just on the east side, instituting a no parking anytime, Schedule 13 of the traffic schedules. So at this point, we would recommend proceeding, and the ordinance has been posted an amount of time. If you would have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
So, go ahead.
Is there property down Pollock? Is that no parking as well?
down
Is
Pollock.
there-
On the north side of Pollock, there is no parking. Correct. Yeah.
That's where the
Resident side is no parking.
resident.
North
Huh?
side.
On the resident side, the north side.
On the residence, so there is parking on the MMA
On the
side.
south side.
There is parking on the south side.
So I'm assuming they want people to park there during special events, though, when they have events there at the academy.
On the east side of Grand?
Yes.
No, they do not want people parking there.
So when they have an event there and people are parked there, we're going to go issue tickets?
We will ask them to move. That is correct.
They've done that for years on special events. They put up their own no parking sign.
Yeah, they-
Special events on that east side.
Yeah, as part of this study, which again has been well over a year now, it might be closer to 2 years, we have been issuing a right-of-way permit for them to, in essence, put up a temporary no parking zone. After this,
Yep, they've done that for years.
yeah,
Well, the south side of Pollock is roped off, no parking too.
it has been, you're right. As part of this, you'll notice that is not included. They did request that area as well, but with the parking already being restricted on the north side, we're still in process of reviewing that request. We have received some concerns about that particular one, so we're separating the two.
Well, when they park, because we had some people park there, I don't think they were even there for MMA, I think they were just there at those houses. It takes that road down to one lane. I mean, because they can't, it's a drop off right there, so they can't really park easily there, so they literally just parked in the road.
Right.
So, just my 2 cents, when you're looking at that, you might want to,
Are we ready?
yeah.
I move for a reading of bill number 2023-30.
Second.
Page,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes. Excuse me. Abstain.
Abstain, Mayor.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Bill number 2023-30, an ordinance amending Chapter 38, Article 10, Schedule 13 and 21 of the Traffic and Vehicle Schedule of the Mexico City Code. I move for second reading of Bill 2023-30.
Second.
Page,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes. Oh, excuse me.
abstain.
Abstain. Ditto.
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Bill number 2023-30, an ordinance amending Chapter 38, Article 10, Schedule 13 and 21 of the Traffic and Vehicle Schedule of the Mexico City Code. I move for passage of Bill 2023-30.
Second.
Page,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yeah, abstain. It's just automatic.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Thank you all. Okay, we are now on part 7, item number 7. And these,
No, we're not.
oh, we're not there yet, sorry.
C 2031, 2023-31.
Yes, we are, okay. We're on bill number 2023-31, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute certain documents pertaining to disposition of excess property located at 515 East Home, Mexico, Missouri. Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, Your Honor, this property is back again. As you know, we had this property as a nuisance, and then we had it deeded to us, and we cleaned it up, and then we thought we had an owner, or a potential purchaser. That fell through. So we've got another one to cover that detail, Rita Jackson.
This ordinance pertains to the disposition of city property located at 515 East Home. As stated, it is a vacant lot. We received it back in August of 2022. At the March 27th meeting, council authorized us to the property be sold to Kenneth Davidson. He notified the city at a later date that he was unable to purchase the property. At the time, he owned the property in Centralia, and he was planning on selling that and then rebuilding here. An advertisement for sale was placed in the Mexico Ledger on May 6th and May 10th. We received one bid from Dennis and Jenna Houchins in the amount of $1,000. This property is zoned R2, two-family dwelling. Mr. Houchins plans to build either a single-family dwelling or a duplex on this property. Staff recommends that council proceed in 2 readings by title only and passage of the ordinance. The ordinance has been posted the required length of time.
I move for, oh, go ahead.
Move for reading of bill number 2023-31.
Second.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Bill 2023-31, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute certain documents pertaining to the disposition of excess property located at 515 East Home, Mexico, Missouri.
Move for the second reading.
I did. I'll move for second reading.
Second.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yeah.
Move for passage of Bill 2023-31. Am I doing it right?
You got to read it again.
You gotta read it, put it in.
And then you pass it.
Okay.
Dave gets mad if you don't read it a second time.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute certain documents pertaining to the disposition of excess property located at 515 East Home, Mexico, Missouri. Now then, I move for passage of
There you
Bill
go.
2023-31.
Second.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
I'm going to ask a question, and this is probably out of order, so tell me anything. Dave, this seems goofy to me, to read twice in 30 seconds, title only, the same evening. A million years ago, when I was involved with this, we had to read it, and we read the whole darn ordinance.
You have to read the whole ordinance.
Whole
We
resolution.
reduced it to title only now.
But then we had to wait 2 weeks and read it the second time. So we're reading it twice. That doesn't make any sense.
Councilman, you're saying a lot doesn't make sense.
I'm not saying most laws don't make any sense. Yes.
You should, the revenue, talk to your state legislature.
But that is a statute.
Larry, when I got on, it confused me so much too, and I had the same question. It just didn't make any sense. But when you went to the workshop, I remember that workshop for new members, and that's what they said. And I thought, who thought this up? But it's the law.
Like I said, we had to read the whole darn thing twice.
At least we got down to reading the title only.
It's not a problem until somebody has a problem with it. I mean, you can do what you want until someone has a problem with it, and then they're going to go to state statutes, and they're going to
Everything we did was not legal.
Yeah, they're going to handle it. Yeah.
Let's go on. Okay, bill number 2023-32, resolution authorizing the city manager to sign task order number 16 with Warner and Schifrin Incorporated for the Geographic Information System update. This only requires one reading. Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, this provides for our online interface with information on the city's GIS system, and to cover the details for the task order, Drew Williford.
Good evening, council. We're moving forward with a little bit larger GIS project this year that's bringing before the council. This project is going to include essentially 3 different line item updates here on GIS. And I've divided in these 3 categories. One is for our dig right or our locate. And that is going to be a process that helps our crews automate those. So whenever someone submits a locate to dig within the City of Mexico's limits, we will provide them with an automated email in response showing our utilities. That safely conveys that there are both public and we even have information on some private utilities in the ground. And that way, it actually meets the dig right law for those private utilities. We will not have to locate the private utilities because we've provided that information already in that email. And so that dig right project is anticipated to save staff quite a bit of time out in the field. We'll still be marking our sanitary sewer mains per the dig right requirements. We also have several other improvements on the GIS site totaling $13,782 with this project. Funding is going to be split out of 3 different areas. We actually anticipated the dig right automation project to be closer to the $15,000 mark, but in talking with the Missouri One Call Center, they actually had some new technology that allows us to, I believe, if we understand the process right, it hasn't been done yet, but to do this closer to that 2,200 mark, which would be fantastic from my point of view. And second source will be $10,000 out of the engineering professional services budget line item, and then the remainder will come out of the wastewater professional services, since a good amount of this does have to do with wastewater. So we would recommend proceeding with reading the title and passage of Task Order 16. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Move for reading bill number 2023-32.
Second.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Bill number 2023-32, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign a task order number 16 with Horner and Schifrin Incorporated for the Geographic Information System update. I move for passage of bill number 2023-32.
Second.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Okay, let's see, I'm in the right place here. Okay, our next item of business is C, Bill number 2023-30, no, I'm on the wrong thing again.
B.
B.
Okay, gotcha. All right, Bill number 2023-33, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign a proposal with Tiger Eye Engineering Limited Corporation for the pavement evaluation project. You get it again, Drew.
Go ahead.
Mr. Schlegel gets it again.
Well, I'm pleased to
He gets it.
provide an overview on this one. This one has my full curiosity. So Tiger Eye Engineering developed out of the University of Missouri, and they've been doing quite a bit of research with, it's commonly called AI, but technically it's called deep learning or machine learning. Those are the terms used for the processes behind AI. So don't think of this as something where it's true artificial intelligence, but they're using computers to generate to determine and classify pavement distress. So this is something that is somewhat new. Only a couple towns, I believe, have done this thus far. So we're looking at partnering with Tiger Eye Engineering here for a cost of $15,000. They will drive all of our roads, provide feedback on where we have pavement distresses everywhere within Mexico. And in addition to that, they're going to modify their code to detect ADA curb ramps, and they're going to also look and evaluate our curb and gutter. So we'll be able to get a feel for where we need to begin prioritizing curb and gutter repair from the standpoint of we may have overlaid 3 times over the years on this street, and we only have an inch of curb left. So those are areas where we begin to look at prioritizing vast quantities of curb and gutter improvements throughout the town. And so we're pleased to present this as a resolution here to partner with Tiger Eye Engineering LLC to evaluate our pavement, our ADA, and our curb and gutter for a total of $15,000. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
It's like sensors? Like sensors shooting at the road, or?
So actually, all it is a high-definition camera, funny enough, and they take that back and they run a software algorithm, and they have trained the model to look for different types of cracking. And in engineering, there's a plethora of different types of cracking. So they've identified those, trained the computer for that. And so the computer will scan all the images that they take of all of our road, land it on a map for us. It can integrate with what we just had pass, our GIS system, and we'll be able to prioritize roadways very, very objectively here with all of this. Right now, just for background, we use a specific rating system that is between 1 and 10 to rate all of our roads, and we drive them every 2 years or so. So this has a pretty high potential.
All they need to do is serve on a city council and get plenty of evaluations.
Yeah,
for
right.
what's-
As you drive
what
around, you
roads,
can tell
yeah.
where the road needs
I mean,
fixed.
people tell me all the time what needs to be repaved and stuff, so.
Even if it isn't our road.
Yeah, I mean,
And we're not artificial intelligence.
Some of us might be.
I don't know what kind of intelligence we are.
I move for the reading of Bill 2023-33.
Second.
Hay,
yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes, Bill number 2023-33, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign a proposal with Tiger Eye Engineering LLC for the pavement evaluation project. I move for passage of Bill 2023-33.
Second.
34, 33, yeah.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Moving on. Bill number 2023-34, Okay, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with various organizations for recommended funding from the Mexico tourism tax. Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, the Tourism Commission has met and reviewed applications for funding and has a recommendation, and to cover those recommendations, Roger Haynes.
Good evening, Council. The Mexico Tourism Commission met via Zoom on Thursday, May 18th. As part of that meeting, they reviewed 2 applications for tourism funding. The first one was from the Auburn County 4-H Youth Fair Organization. They requested funding to support advertising for the 2023 Youth Fair, which will be held July 21st through the 25th, with special events on Saturday and Sunday, including go-kart races. The amount requested for advertising funding was $1,000, and the amount recommended by the commission is $1,000. The second request was from the Mexico Chamber of Commerce in support of the Mighty Mexmo app, which is the smartphone app that allows people to instantly see what's going on throughout the community and, of course, promote tourism. The renewal of that app for the year is $5,000. The amount requested from the Mexico Chamber of Commerce is $5,000. And of course, the amount recommended from the Tourism Commission is of same value, $5,000. Danny Keller, Executive Director for the Chamber, is here tonight. If you have any particular questions regarding that Mexico app, we'd certainly be able to address that. Staff recommends the council concur with the Mexico Tourism Commission's recommendation and proceed with reading by title only and passage of the attached resolution.
Any questions?
So the chamber can't make do with 4,000? They have to have 5?
How much is that app getting used? Do we have the numbers for that? That'd be interesting to see. Pass that along to us.
To date, we have almost 1,500 people subscribed and using the app. We've gotten a lot of reports back from MMA, cadets, cadet families about how useful it is. We also see a lot of traffic on it in regards to like Miss Missouri. And currently, they've just added a feature so that on our home screen, we will be able to add icons for those special events when it's timely to have those, and then take them down and remove them. So somebody could open up that app and go directly to Miss Missouri and get all the contents of anything related to that. MMA could also potentially use that for their special event weekends, and then we anticipate that the Walk Back in Time will provide us with a link so that we can link that schedule to the app as well.
Are you working with the school to do something like that too? Like when they have something, like we had the sectional track meet this last week, like hitting a QR code and those people could find places, what's happening, maybe places to eat and all that stuff on there?
We've made them aware that that's an option, but at this point, it would take buy-in, not buy-in financially, but it would take some work on their part to have those things available, and I don't think they really have the bandwidth to be able to do that. But I mean, we have the capacity to do all kinds of things if the school district is interested in participating.
Sounds like something a new young board member might take up and push it. Just saying. Well, good. Glad it's working.
Dana, are you able to like sort out about who's hitting what like whether it's restaurants or?
It's restaurants.
It's restaurants,
People
isn't
are
it?
hungry. I mean, typically, it's been all of the very top indicators are that people are going to look at restaurants for restaurant hours and those sorts of things, although it's just now to the point that we can make it as easy for people to really go directly and pull up like an event schedule. So I anticipate once that's up, as long as the organization itself helps promote that that's available, that people will download the app and just, I mean, it's a convenience thing. Why would you mess with schedules and all those sorts of things when you can pop it up on your phone really easy. So.
And they do. I mean, I've heard them say that, so.
I move for reading a bill.
Wait a minute.
Oh, sorry.
Does this take one motion or two different motions?
No, just one.
Okay, go ahead.
I move for reading bill number 2023-34.
Second.
Kay?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Ritter?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Bill number 2023-34, resolution authorizing city manager to execute an agreement with various organizations for the recommended funding from the Mexico tourism tax. I move for passage of bill number 2023-34.
Second.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Okay, our final bill here is number 2023-35, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an extension to the voluntary annexation agreement with Mark Corman Properties. This is only one reading and passage. Mr., you'll have to explain this. though.
Okay, yes. I'll give you a little background to start with. Mark Corman Properties LLC requested back in April of 2020 to construct a sanitary sewer system, lift station, force main for his plant. As a part of that, it was necessary that we requested annexation as a part of that, providing sanitary. And so it was at the end of 3 years where he would annex in. Since then, he has requested an extension of that because there are some other things, other additional properties and things that he wishes to develop out there that he's working on pulling together. And so he's requested this. Staff felt it was reasonable to look at this, and to cover it in more detail, I will turn to Rita Jackson. Didn't want to steal all of your comments, Rita.
Basically, as Mr. Slagle has stated, city staff did receive a letter from Mark Corman requesting an additional 2 years extension on the agreement. The request provides that Mark Corman Properties an extension of time to evaluate annexation of additional properties into the city limits and do just one single annexation. Mark Corman Properties has indicated that the additional property could provide the city with residential and commercial development. The extension would not allow Mark Corman LLC Properties to extend or construct to the sanitary sewer to the additional property for the development of the annexation. So basically, he cannot connect to the sanitary sewer on the additional property before the actual annexation after the 2-year extension. The extension does not allow mobile homes to be annexed into the city limits, and any and all construction during this period must be constructed under the city code. So anything that he builds out in the additional properties need to be under city codes. Staff recommends that council proceed with 2 readings by title only and passage of the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an extension to the voluntary annexation agreement for Mark Corman LLC Properties.
Move for reading of Bill 2023-35.
Second.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Bill 2023-35, a resolution authorizing city manager to sign an extension to the voluntary annexation agreement with Mark Corman LLC Properties.
Move for
Move
passage.
for passage of Bill 2023-35.
Second.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Okay, we are now ready for a staff report, the authorized repair of the influent wet well pump for the wastewater department. Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, this pump is at the wastewater treatment plant and accepts water from the collection system into the plant. And to cover the details of the necessary repairs, Drew Wilford.
Council, we had another pump go down. This one is not out in the collection system, it's actually at the plant. We have a total of 4 pumps in this particular wet well. It's the first wet well of the plant. It's the influent wet well. This is the large pump. So we did approach Van Vanter Engineering, who handles our preventive maintenance work. They pulled the pump. There were some oddities with electrical as well going on with this pump, in addition to a seal failure. And after quite a bit of trying to do some diagnostics and inspection on it, we did determine the full extent of the repair, which they priced at $18,650.07. Just for a side note, to replace this pump, you're talking over $78,000. So it's a substantial pump, substantial investment for the repair. We do have in the 2022-23 budget $20,000 allocated every year for these kinds of issues. We do still have a balance of $19,428 in that account. So to proceed, we would recommend using that to cover the $18,650.07 cost to repair the pump, and we hope to have that turnaround. I forget, actually, to tell you the truth, I apologize, I think it's like 8 to 10 weeks or so was the repair time. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
And we hope nothing else breaks, because now that fund is
Yeah, no
empty.
more.
It is gone.
No more money.
Wastewater's going to stand, tell the people. I move that we purchase the authorized repair of the influent wet well pump for the wastewater department from Van de Venter Engineering, I know I said that wrong, sorry, for $18,650.07.
Second.
Yes.
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 Okay, moving on. The next thing we have are appointments to various boards and commissions. You have a list of different commissions and boards, authorities, and we also have the vacancies there and who is, and people who would like to have those, be appointed to those boards. Some of these are appointed by city council, one is appointed by the mayor, but I will need concurrence with the rest of the council. The last one is appointed by the city manager.
We'll cover these individually, Your Honor.
Okay.
So we'll start with Planning and Zoning Commission. There is currently one vacant term that it does expire in June of 2023. Betty Jo Seidenstrick has expressed interest in the appointment. We've not received any other applications. Now, so what we have is an unexpired term here, basically for 1 month. And then we can appoint her also tonight, because it's within that time frame, for an additional. So probably, if you will, council, if you wish to appoint her, what we should do is one motion to appoint her to the unexpired term that'll end in 30 days, and then another motion to appoint her for an additional term of 3 years.
I move to appoint, sorry.
Go ahead.
I move to appoint Betty Jo Seidenstricker to the Planning and Zoning Commission for the temporary position.
Unexpired.
Unexpired, my fault.
Second.
I was going to say 30-day position.
Kane.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
I move to appoint Betty Jo Seidenstricker to the Planning and Zoning Commission for the 3-year term, beginning in 2023, is that correct?
Second.
Okay. Next one. Is that it?
We got to vote.
Yes. Yeah, vote.
Briggs.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Say yes.
Say yes.
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 Weber.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is the Mexico Housing Authority. Rita Jackson's term expires June of '23. Ms. Jackson expressed interest in reappointment. We've not received any other applications. This is a 4-year term. This is an appointment by the mayor if she wishes to make the appointment, and then would need a motion from the council to concur with her appointment.
Okay, I will appoint Rita Jackson to that term, and I need concurrence of the council.
I'll make a motion. Council concurs.
Second.
Kane.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Okay, the next board is the Zoning Board of Adjustment. Bob Fenlon's term expires in June of '23. Mr. Fenlon has expressed interest in reappointment. We've not received any other applications. This is for a 5-year term appointed by the city manager, so therefore I will appoint Bob Fenlon for a 5-year term to expire in June of 2028, and I would ask council for a motion to concur with my appointment.
Motion to concur. I agree.
Second.
Kane.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Okay, the next is the Mexico Park Board. Currently, there's one vacant position, and then also Sherry Chadwick, Cole Hildebrandt, and Josh Price's terms expire in June of '23. Sherry Chadwick, Josh Price have each expressed interest in reappointment. We have not received any other applications at this time. So therefore, for a reappointment, I would appoint, this is a city manager appointment, I would appoint Sherry Chadwick and Josh Price to an additional 3-year term. and ask that council concur with those 2 appointments.
Make a motion to concur?
Second.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
All right, that's it, right on that. Okay, last thing is the claims.
Make a motion.
Approve the claims.
Nope.
Pay the
Second.
claims.
Who's second?
I can second, he can first. What?
Either way.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is comments by the council. Larry, you want to start with that?
Sure. I just want to congratulate the seniors at the high school finishing their education, and I think there were 157 or something like that. It's an accomplishment. And I also want to mention that Ron Whitaker obviously passed away, and would normally mention that, except he was the Parks Director for a period of time some years ago, and he did it part-time what it takes Chad full-time to do.
He was just on the Planning and Zoning Commission, that's what we did.
Yeah, that's a good point. He was just on the Planning and Zoning Commission. So Ron was a really, really good guy and a good teacher, I think well-liked, and want to mention that.
Okay, thank you. Chris?
I think he covered most everything. Basically, I just want to say congratulations to the seniors also. The job well done. Hope they have good futures, plans for their time now.
Thank you. I'll go next because I want to thank Steve for filling in for me at the Tyrone Blue Park, Tyrone Blue, Park renaming, and I heard you did a terrific job, and I thank you for that, Mr. Meakin. Okay. I'm going to let him go last.
Also, Ron Whitaker, great guy. If you didn't know him, he was an asset to the community we lost. Congratulations to all the seniors from the high school and all the seniors that graduated from the MMA this past weekend. It was quite a busy weekend this weekend in our community, and we also had district track here on Saturday. So if you noticed a lot of cars, that's why. There's a lot of stuff going on. So that's it.
Yep. The Tyloo, thanks to Chad Parks, did a great job with that, the signage, and it was, I think everybody there had a great time, so it was a good celebration of Thai and Mexico, and so I think it's good that, we recognize those people that have done great things. Ron Whitaker, I concur. We had the sectional track, and of course, just if you've never been to a track, problem is everybody wants to come to Mexico for a track meet, and they're really hard to run, and we have a great group, and I know Ron was very instrumental in that years ago, and so it just continues, and so I'm sure it will continue in his honor, and of course they run on Ron Whitaker track, so just a loss of a guy who was very instrumental to the community. So other than that, I think the graduations were great. I remember thinking, and I saw the first one, I thought it was awesome. Now I'm 23 years later, and I'm still watching them. So, it's always exciting to see them move on and see what they do with their lives.
Okay, thank you, Steve. That gets everybody. Mr. Slagle, do you have any more to add to it?
I have an announcement to make.
Good.
Okay. As you know, Chief Susan Rocket is retiring, and her official last day is June 30, 2023. We begun advertising for her replacement in April. Advertisement was posted locally, and then we begun a national search as well. We received applications locally, in-state, out-of-state for the position. The filled candidates were narrowed down. Interviews were held last week. As always, it is my goal to hire the most competent, talented person and best fit for the City of Mexico. I've made my selection, and I am proud to announce Bryce Mesco, current public safety operations. And promoted to public safety chief, effective immediately. Congratulations, Chief Mesco. Thank you very much.
Bryce, we're pleased. I'm pleased. I think everybody else is too. I know there were some really strong candidates, and you came out on top, so it'll be interesting to see now what plans you have for the department. So at some point, maybe we can get you a new station, and we'll work on that real hard. So,
Thank you.
Okay.
Faith and hope earning.
Okay, all right, thank you. Last thing on our agenda here is the public comments from the public. You state your name, you have 3 minutes, and also your address, and take.
Thank you for hearing me. My name is Julia Lindsay. I live at 715 West Love Street. I come here today because April the 14th, I called up and asked about the next city council meeting. I was told that somebody's going to call me back, and then the next moment, the police showed up at my house. I was calling to speak with somebody I had previously the year before. They asked me to contact the owner of the car wash. This is about the car wash. So I called the gentleman. The number was on the building. I don't know who owns it. I didn't ask his name. I don't remember. Just told him my concerns, that we could hear the car wash all hours of the night through our house with the windows closed. Our children are waking, our dogs are waking, we're waking. It's terrible. At nighttime, it's terrible. During the day, you can't open your windows to get fresh air without just the nuisance. Anytime anybody goes through the car wash, as soon as they pay, and they're accepted, beep, 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 pull forward. And it will do that repeatedly until they get to the spot they're supposed to be. So if they're sitting at the car wash, at the pay spot, on their phone with the windows up and music going, they could sit there for minutes on end, and that thing just keeps repeating and repeating and repeating. When you get into the car wash, it yells at you the whole time you're in there. You can't understand what it's saying in there. I went through there one time just to see. You can't understand what it's saying to you, but it's yelling the whole time. I can hear that in the house. And so, I mean, I've timed it up to 10 minutes of just nonsense noise. Our daughter recorded it one night, thought there was a ghost in our house. So I talked to the man, and at the fall of last year, I reckon, because the windows are open, and he shut it down, the noise, because the speaker has nothing to do with cleaning your car. And so he shut it down for a couple months. There was no noise besides just the water and the blower that's ridiculous, that doesn't dry your car. But anyways, he shut it down, but then first sign of good weather, it's right back up. And it's just really, I mean, you can't enjoy outdoors, you can't have your windows open, it's just terrible. So I called on the 14th and asked about the next city council meeting because I didn't know what else to do. Next thing I know, the police showed up. They told me that they were going to talk to him, so they would take care of it. 2 weeks later, I talked to him again. They came over and wanted me to sign a report, a complaint, and whatnot, so I did. A week later, they told me they was going to give me a ticket. A week later, still nothing. At that time, I was told that it was taken up to the major, that it was going to be taken to the major, that I needed to fill out this form. And then they needed to come in my home and hear the noise from inside my home. I wasn't extremely thrilled about that, but I'm like, okay, whatever. So they come in, and I don't have a problem. I just, my dogs, to be honest, and rile them up, right? So anyways, then still nothing. And I was told it was going to go up to the major. And then I was told that it was coming to city council. So I'm here tonight because I thought it was going before you all tonight, because that's what I was told. And I've never been to a city council meeting before. So anyways, today, I did type up a petition, and I walked around for, about 4 hours maybe, just in our neighborhood. And I got some signatures. I believe this is Dustin. He lives right backside of the...
Julie, your time is up if you want to finish with just maybe one sentence there.
Sure. And
If he wants to speak, he can come to the podium.
I did discover today doing the petitions that there's health concerns too. Somebody had signs that they had a seizure in the drive because of the lights, the LED lights flash. So he was a passenger.
Okay. You have a,
I would like to-
that'd be fine. Just come forward with it.
That's not super professional, but I was trying my best. And
Okay.
I do appreciate your time.
We'll turn it over to someone who maybe can help you with it, and check it, and see. Did you want to speak? Come on.
Hi, I'm Dustin Lopez. I live on 634 West Love Street, directly behind the car wash. I mean, it's just a nuisance. It really is. I work 12-hour days, Sarah Copper, just long hours, come home. Can hardly sleep, can't open the windows. I mean, we love barbecuing outside because of wind, gusts of wind. Chemicals are everywhere. It's just really the noise. I got 3 young kids. They're complaining constantly. It's just, I hope you guys can do something about it. It's really too much. The voice, I mean, I'm sure they can turn that down, but it's really the blower. It's just, I mean, I don't know if you guys ever stand outside there when somebody's passing by or something, but it's just really, really loud. It's just really excessive.
Okay.
Just kind of want to let you know, just not just that, like I said, the chemicals. I mean, we can't barbecue outside. Get off that. There's going to be gust of wind. It's over your barbecue, but it's mostly about the kids. I mean, they got to go to school. They're constantly complaining. So there's nothing I can do. Turn off the TV more. So, I mean, if that's not going to make us turn up our TV, it's just trying to blur out the sound. So, you guys can maybe work with it a little bit, helps out. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
You know, I use that car wash. I'll quit now, but no. But when I drive through there, I wonder, I think, golly, I'd sure hate to live back there.
Yeah, it's right there.
It is so loud even driving through it. So
I mean,
understand
you
what
can only
you're
imagine with your windows up when you drive through it. It's loud when you're in the car. You can only imagine. It's just really too much.
Okay, Dustin, we appreciate you talking to us. We'll get these turned over to people who can deal with them. And
I gotta get back to work, so thank you for listening.
okay, thank you, Dustin.
Thanks.
Okay, anybody else?
One more.
Yes. I'd like to address this as well, but my name's Corey Nettles. I'm the owner of said car wash.
Okay.
We were alerted by some of our normal customers that saw this on Facebook.
Corey, excuse me, did you say your address?
It's 160 North Purdy Lane.
In Mexico, okay.
Yeah, no, we were born and raised in Mexico. We actually live in Colombia right now. The car wash, we put that new wash in about 3 years ago. And it's been like that ever since. We've never heard, I have one phone call, which I'm assuming is from this lady here. She called me about a year ago. We turned it down. She wanted me to turn it off. I said, no, I cannot turn it off. It's designed for that, for the very reason that she pointed out. People pull up and pay. In this technology world that we live in today, they get on their phone immediately. They do not pay attention to what the visual signs are telling them to do. They pay, the person in front of them's in there, they get on their phone, they're not paying attention, the car wash time's out. Then they're calling me saying I didn't get my wash. I pull out the cameras, no, you didn't get your wash because you sat there for 4 minutes on your phone outside the bay with 3 people waiting behind you to get in. The same thing happens when they start pulling in. The machine tells them pull forward. When they get parked, it stops. If they go too far forward, it tells them to back up. This is for the elderly primarily. We have a huge problem with the elderly getting parked. I haven't called.
You talking about us?
But they have trouble getting parked. They don't know where they're supposed to be. The machine tells them. We're not trying to be bad neighbors. When she called, I turned it down. I turned it off.
Okay, I have to ask you a question. I'm sorry, I'll give you another minute one here. I have to ask you a question. So when you, let's see, never mind, go ahead. I was going to ask you, when you turned it off for a while.
I didn't turn it off.
You never did turn the sound off or down?
No, I turned it down. When she called the first time, I turned it down.
You turned it down.
If it was not working for a period of time, we were not aware.
And then you didn't get the result you wanted when you turned it down from these people who can't hear? Is that what you're saying?
No, we turned it down when she called. And she called again at some point later, and we turned it down again. And then I started getting notifications from law enforcement that she was calling them, wanting them to do something about it. So I talked to Officer Phelps about it. He called me. I said, what is the decibel limit here? What are we dealing with? I'm turning it down to what I believe is an acceptable level.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
So that my customers inside their car can hear when it tells them to leave, because it's the same problem when they get on their phone while it's washing and it's done, they don't leave. And because they're not paying attention. And that's the whole purpose. That's the reason car washes are implementing these now.
Where's the speaker located?
The speaker is inside the automatic bay.
would a reposition of the speaker make a difference? Like outside outside on Monroe Street side, where the cars are setting right there? I mean, they're right by where they pay, because if you pay right here and you're setting, that speaker's right there, would it be blocked more so it didn't travel back towards that house?
It would travel back towards the street, towards Monroe.
Yeah.
But that's going to be fine for when they're at the pay station, but once they get into the bay, I don't believe they would be able to hear it from there. And we rely on the car wash manufacturers and installers to tell us where these need to be efficient. But, we turned it down to what we thought was an acceptable level. The last time I talked to Officer Phelps was, I think, 3 weeks ago. We turned it down again. 3 times we've turned it down. If you're in the bay now, you can hear what they're saying, but it's not loud. We walked tonight. He finally told me it was 150 feet. If you can be heard outside of 150 feet is what the legal parameters for that is. We walked 150 feet.
Whose legal parameters?
Ours.
The city of Mexico,
Our cities?
I believe.
I'm asking if, yeah.
That was per Officer Phelps, so I'm assuming that to be the municipality.
Okay. Well, we'll give this problem back to
Okay.
our new chief, who will.
We could barely hear it at 150 feet. And that's at the corner of Wade and Love. We could barely hear it. We stood there tonight. We've got semis coming in and out here. If I'm on a phone call at the car wash and there's a semi comes in with their Jake brakes on, I've got to put the whole call on hold and wait for them to get by. You've got trains coming in and out of there with the horns blaring.
Is it 24 hour? What time does it shut down? Does it shut down or does it run all night?
The car wash is open 24 hours a day, but less than 5% of our business is done after 8 o'clock at night. Less than 5%.
So what's 5%?
5%, I don't have that number in front of me right now, but you're not going to have maybe 2-3 cars at the most go through there after 8, 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
So, it's the business district. I understand, but they live next to a business district. If I don't want to smell manure, I'm not going to buy a house next to a manure farm.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Ready.
Move we adjourn into executive session pursuant to revised statute Missouri 610-021, litigation and legal advice.
Second. Yes.
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 We will stay here.